In this video, we have an incredibly special guest. I'm so excited for you guys to see this. It is another coaching call with Day. However, the special guest that we have is Mr. Mike Kante, the man behind Two Lions Airspace, who have gone from 0 to 50 million in less than 5 years. You can fact check that, Google the cage code, it's all out there. This man is incredibly hardworking, incredibly skilled, and in this, he's just gonna break down so many gems. It's an open Q&A, not only about specifically DLA, he gives you so many useful bits of information, and the secret sauce, as David put it, all about doing business with a DLA and how you can have a successful DLA business, but also just being a successful business owner as a whole, how you scale a team, how you build the right team, how you just go from literally 0 to 50 million. It's all here. I can't wait for you guys to watch this. Have a pen and paper ready, take notes, enjoy.
Thank you for having me on the call, and I'm glad to share some insights with your community and to spread some nuggets. And I must say, for you guys are in for a treat, because I actually have I've done a few interviews, but I've never participated on a call on a community like this. And so today I'm definitely going to go ahead and hope that I could give you some insights and some value and some nuggets and some things that will be of value to everyone. So I know, Day, you asked me a few questions, and I do have some thoughts of my own that I want to share, and I also want to make sure that I address some of the questions. And I must warn everyone, though. I know everyone's like, "Hey, what do I bid on? What's the secret sauce? And what's the one thing?" But I think the answers may surprise some of the members of the community, because it's not always what it seems on the surface, and also it's hardly one thing. It's usually a combination of a few things that results in different results. So for those of you who don't know, I don't know, Day, how much you told the community, or do they need a little bit of background, or
Yeah, you could go ahead and introduce yourself. I mean, I gave people like kind of a brief interview, but there's a bunch of people who maybe hadn't seen it. I gave just like a brief introduction. I just said, okay, here in Two Lions Aerospace and what we scale to, but they don't know that much about you.
Okay, yeah, no. So, not me per se specifically, but again, I'm Mike Kante, the founder of Two Lions Aerospace. We're a defense contracting company, and the one thing that is worth of note to you all: about 4 years ago, I did not know the difference between an RFP, an RFI, or an RFQ. Solicitation, I didn't know. So, and I'm saying this because today, fast forward, we're a 9-figure business. We have 7-figure days, but I'm not saying this to impress you, but rather to impress upon you that this is realistic for you. A lot of times you get on calls or you watch a video and people say, "Oh man, that could be you too, and you could do it too." No, I'm telling you, for real, we knew nothing about GovCon. I had a company, and my company was dealing in commercial aviation parts. And during COVID, when airplanes stopped flying and commercial companies did no longer need aviation spare parts, that's when I said, well, I tell you what, let me start learning about the GovCon world, and let me see how I could adapt what it is that I already know how to do and adapt that to the government. So here's another nugget. Not only, obviously, you're learning through the community with Day, but most things that you all are doing on an everyday basis, or something that you want to do or think about doing, the government has a need for it. So to figure out how to pivot and incorporate that, and how do you sell that skill or that service or those goods to the government, I think it's huge. So again, just about 4 years ago, didn't know anything about the industry, but what I did do, I'm a ferocious reader, I'm a ferocious learner, and I dove in. I dove all in. And just like all of y'all that are here in this community did, I invested in myself. I invested in information. I invested in knowledge. And if you want to climb a mountain, don't ask a swimmer. Ask a person who's climbing a mountain. If you want to swim, don't ask a plumber, ask a swimmer. So ask people, surround yourself, interact with people who are where you want to be. And do not be afraid of investing in yourself. And sometimes you may have access to someone. If you don't have access to that person, then don't be afraid to invest, because what you invest in your mind pours down in your pockets. So when people look for, hey, what it is that I did, I think the number one thing that I did, I went all in. I grabbed every book that I could. I watched as many videos that I could. I attended seminars. I paid for training. The one thing about dealing with DLA specifically, I did realize that very few people knew about that space. So I took it upon myself to really become the expert that I would like to see in others. So the number one thing that, again, that was a big difference maker, and I still do till this day, is I train. I invest in training. I invest in mindset. I invest in learning the industry. If you'll excuse me here for 1 second.
Really briefly, while he's getting that set up, a couple of the things that I want to talk about really are going to be focused on business development. I know I started talking about this earlier in the call, but some of you guys weren't here. Primarily today's going to be focused about business development, because with a lot of you guys, everything is about like the technical stuff, right? It's like, how do I fill out this form? How do I fill out this document? How do I respond to this person, right? How do I read the solicitation? And we talk about, business development, but I was kind of a part of the team watching it happen, but this was the person who kind of, created the team. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you, and I'm still going to call you Dad. I'm not going to call you by your government name. But one of the things that I wanted to ask you is, what are some of the factors that you think, and some of the things that you did that you think contributed to kind of like the exponential growth of the company? Because you've run other businesses before, right? And I'm sure that they've grown, but I don't know if they've grown, at this pace. So what are some of the things that you think you did differently in this business, or some of the decisions that you made that contributed to that?
Well, in terms of business development and pace, so just again, this is a community. We're going to talk a little bit more candidly here. So it took 7 years for my first company to hit $1 million in sales for that year. In this business, it took less than 3 years to do it. So it's a combination of things. First of all, when we talk about being at the right place at the right time, when I saw the industry of government contracting, the opportunity is so huge, and you only need such a small piece to get those results. But because, again, the numbers are so big. But here's another thing. Although we are new to government contracting, you have to give yourself time. You're going to see all these things and all these people having success, but the one tangible thing that you have to give yourself is time. You have to be in the game, stay in the game, learn the game, but give yourself a little bit of time. Now, in terms of business development specifically, what are some of the things that we did and that we look for? So number one of the things you asked me about is strategic alliances. If you're going to partner with someone, maybe you have a set aside that they don't have. Maybe you have a qualification that someone else doesn't have. Maybe you have a piece of information. Maybe you have a relationship with a vendor that someone does not have, but they may have past performance. They may have more financial resources. They may have a more established capability statement or network. So a strategic alliance can be beneficial, but when you choose who you want to partner with, you want to make sure that it's someone, first of all, that aligns with your values. You want to know who they are. You want to know how they think. You want to know, more importantly, how they behave around money, because a lot of times the minute money gets involved in the equation, some people change. So you want to make sure that if you do choose to embark on a partnership, that it is with people that you can trust and to have similar values. Number two, you want to make sure that it's something that is in parallel to what you're doing. So for example, if I'm selling aviation spare parts, I'm not all of a sudden going to go after a plumbing contract because I don't know enough about plumbing. So it will be such a disruption to my current business to learn how to mesh the two. So no, if I'm in, let's say, in aviation parts, well, ground support equipment makes sense. If, let's say, I'm selling a part, but it's going to a depot, well, maybe adding a staffing agency where your parts and your goods are going to end up at, and being part of the staffing agency that is going to place the stuff on the shelf, that makes sense. So make sure you pick something that's not going to be too much of a disruption. Believe it or not, I know at first you want to get started and you want to bid on everything and anything. I would limit it to a few things, the few things that you're good at, the few things you have access to, or the few things that you want to get good at. Because what's going to happen if you chase too many rabbits, you'll catch none. So saying no, as difficult as it is in the beginning, is huge. And I can tell you, there was a point we started to say yes to a lot of things, because when you start to have some success, a lot of people are going to come to you and want to partner and want to offer you things, and you say yes. And next thing you know, too many yeses become distractions. So you actually have to learn to say no. So when it comes to business development, again, it's a combination of, first of all, taking your time. Number two, pick 3 to 5 things that you're going to get really good at. Because at the end of the day, people do business with who they know, trust, and like. So number one, get known, be out there. Number two, make sure that people you come across as in the subject matter expert at what it is that you're selling, that you're providing. Because the minute you do that, you get credibility. People will now trust you, people will like you, and people will want to do business with you. So again, the other thing too is, I know when you first get started, it's difficult to establish relationships, right? Or to get better pricing, or to get manufacturers. Well, again, if you're only dealing with 3 to 5 things and they see you over and over and over, all of a sudden you now start to get credit terms. Now, all of a sudden you get better pricing, and you get better pricing. You tell your vendor, hey, give me a good price. I'm going to and bid this item and I'm going to win it. Help me win it, because when I win it, I'm going to buy from you. You win it, you buy from them, they're happy, you're happy, and guess what? They give you terms, they give you better pricing again, and you win more and more and more. So again, there's so many benefits of going deep rather than going wide, and that's huge. Now, something I was talking about with Dave, we talk about systems. First of all, there's a lot of, I talk about investing in yourself. That means spending money, but there are also a lot of free resources, right? So, for example, FPDS, understanding how FPDS works is huge. And FPDS, what it is, it's a massive database of federal procurement data system, I believe is what it stands for.
Yeah, FPDS, that's what it stands for.
If you take one item, the one item that you're selling, and you put it in FPDS. FPDS is like the Google for government contracting, very simply put. If you put the one item, I don't care if you're dealing with electronics, you take that PSC code or you put that part number in FPDS, it's going to blow your mind. You're out here trying to get maybe $1,000 contract, but you're going to see that the government just spent $20 million on that one part. So again, people think they have to sell so many things. One part, the government can spend $20 million on it, yet you're getting $1,000. So you need to figure out, how do I get more of this pie? When you sell something to the government, when you sell that part, well, what else are they buying before they buy from you? And what else are they buying after they buy from you? So understanding to follow the money. And again, I encourage everyone after this call, get on FPDS, which is a free resource. You don't need to set up an account. It's simply like a Google. Put one PSC code and watch how much money has been spent this year alone on that one item. It's going to blow your mind. So I behoove you to pick a few and get really good at them and learn to follow the money. And I think that alone is going to make a huge difference, because you're going to see now what is possible. And once you see what's possible, and once you see what other people are doing, if it's possible for another person, you're going to see how possible it is for you as well. And again, these are all the things that I was able to understand rather quickly that allowed us to hone in and focus and create better profit margins. In the beginning, to be honest with you all, we're bidding for the sake of bidding. so that we would win low-hanging fruit to create past performance. The more we would win, the more past performance we had, the more past performance we had, the more the government trusted us, the more other vendors trusted us, and now it became a snowball effect. So consistency, giving yourself time, and also establishing past performance, understanding the landscape of the game really are some of the things that contributed to our fast growth.
Sweet. I'm very glad that you brought some of that stuff up, because some of that stuff is stuff that I bring up, and I want you guys to know that we did not have like a predetermined meeting. Like, I didn't tell him like what to say or anything like that. It's 8 p.m. where he is. It's 4:15 where I'm at. We didn't discuss any of this stuff, right? So some of the stuff that I mentioned that he just reiterated there, like, I didn't just make it up. I didn't just like pull it out of nowhere. Now, for those of you guys that are looking for training on FPDS in day 2 of Ignore to Award, it's in there. And then I also have a YouTube video about it. It's free, and it's called How to Do Market Research, and it literally talks about how to use FPDS. Now, I'm glad that we talked about that, and then you kind of went towards the topic of systems. So I do want to just briefly touch on the DSBS thing, but before we get into that, um, I want to kind of talk to you really quickly about like delegating, right? And then like building a team, because now that's when I started, it was just me, you, and mom, but now the team has grown a lot more. So what are some causal factors that you see when you're like, okay, it's time for me to now have somebody else doing this, right? Or it's time for me to maybe buy back my time. Like, what are some points or turning points in the business that you realize you're like, okay, I need to now have a team doing this? And then once you did have a team, what were some of the things that you looked for?
Okay, well, so in terms of building a team, again, this was the second version of or iteration of the business. So it came to the point. So for those of you who don't know, I still actually have a day job. And while having a day job, in the beginning, it was easy for me to be the one to submit the bids and to win and to package and to invoice. But then I realized that I now became the interruption in the business. I became the bottleneck of the business. That means that if I wasn't there, certain things weren't happening. And for me, this was not a hobby. I was serious about building a business. I was serious about generating income from the business. So therefore, I realized that I needed help. So the one thing that triggers it, well, if I'm not here, nothing's happening. So, and you think a lot of times about, well, the cost. First of all, there are so many resources to help you, especially as a small business, to bring on other people to your organization, whether it's an intern, whether it's with your state. Your state actually has programs where they'll pay 60 to 80% of the salary of a new person. And these are resources that you could utilize, or if you have to get a virtual assistant. So that's the one thing. Number two, we selecting people is a difficult process because it's not an exact science. It's not hard, but it's not an exact science. You just got to get better at it. But at the end of the day, you have to look for people who, number one, get it. They have to get what it is that you're seeking to accomplish. Number two, people who want it. And number three, people who have the capacity to do what it is that you assign them to do. It's super important to have the right butt in the right seat. So you can have 10 people, but if they're not aligned with their skills, or if they're not aligned, or if they don't have the capacity to do what it is that you want them to do, it's going to be a lot more difficult to get things done. There's a lot of great resources and that can help you with that. Matter of fact, I think there's a book called Traction. Let me see. Matter of fact, I have it right here. And he has a whole series of books by Gino Wickman, Traction. So this can talk to you about some of the things to look for, how to build an organization, and whether you're a solopreneur and you are an army of one and you need and you haven't built a team yet, that's okay. It's going to give you some building blocks. The E-Myth is another great book. But at the end of the day, you'd rather like it was said, have 1% of 100 people's efforts and 100% of your own efforts. As a business owner, now the team is almost to 20, and you know, I like to control and to be on top of everything. But even if I give my 100%, that's 100%, and you have to accept that if you have 10 people and they can only do this at 50% of your capacity, well, guess what? 10 times 50, that's at least 500% against my 100%. So again, that's more of us out there. And you know what? Get people to complement your weaknesses. If you're great at marketing, if you're great at telling your story, if you're great at selling your belief in your product, but you're weak with accounting, get someone that's strong with accounting. If you're great at accounting, but you're not so good at talking to people, get someone that's great at marketing. And again, it's not always monetary, and get yourself some help. The other thing too that you have to do, not only sure, okay, you have to submit bids, but you have to get known. Marketing is huge. It's essential. If the government doesn't know that you're out there, how could they come to you and offer you the opportunity? You have to be reading and looking for opportunities. So again, if you have a day job and your time is limited, well, maybe you have someone else that captures the leads and captures the information, who is watching or setting up searches for you and things of that nature. So again, the minute that if you step away, your business stops, that's when you need to bring on someone. You don't have to bring on someone full time. You can bring on someone part time. Whatever it is, people need different things out there. But again, that's a huge part of scaling your business and accelerating your growth.
I think that was a really good answer, a way to put it. Like when you're not there, the things that you need to happen stop happening. I think that's a very good indication. And as he just said, there's a bunch of resources out there in terms of like interns from like colleges that need jobs, even high school kids, right? If it's administrative work and they need volunteer hours, and you tell somebody like, listen, I'll give you 2x or 3x the volunteer hours for the amount of time that you actually work a week. There's all your administrative stuff taken care of. Or getting a virtual assistant. You can get virtual assistants for as cheap as like $300 a month. And then you can even get virtual assistants who operate only on a commission basis, right? So the bids that they bring you to submit, right? If they price everything for you and you submit them and you only win, like let's say that 3 to 5% success rate that we talked about in the beginning, you only pay them commission on that 3 to 5% success rate, but that might end up being more than the $500 a month or $1,000 a month salary, right? So there's ways to kind of play your hand of cards to get the result that you're looking for. So the last thing is, we're coming up on time here because I don't like to keep these meetings super long. During Thanksgiving, you gave me like a really interesting tidbit, and I'm a big proponent of like when you search in Dibs, you don't use NAICS codes, right? Because FSC codes are the primary, NSN numbers and FSC codes are the primary search metric. However, you were telling me about the DSBS, and I knew about it, but I didn't know that it was used in the capacity that you were telling me, where different contracting officers or even other companies can look you up in there. So just really briefly, we got like 5 minutes left. Doesn't have to be long. Just tell them pretty much what you told me about updating your profile and the way that contracting officers and companies use it.
All right. So very quickly, again, that's why it's so important to understand the game and stay, to remain a student of the game and learn about this game as much as you can, because these are the tidbits that are going to give you an edge, and that's how you get noticed, and that's how you get ahead of others who are not doing the work. So DSBS, dynamic search,
Dynamic small business search.
Small business search. So pretty much that's what contracting officers, that's their Google. A lot of times they look you up. They're not going to look you up via Google. They're not going to look you up in LinkedIn. The first place they're going to look you up is DSBS. So if your DSBS has not been updated in a long time, you're going to have low credibility. Remember, the government is risk adverse. It's your job to make them feel comfortable. One of the ways to do that is to keep your DSBS profile updated. Not only are they going to see when was the last time you updated it, but what I recommend, every time you win something, make sure every 3 months, or at your stage, I would go every 3 months, maybe even every month, and update and add what it is, the PSC codes, but also the NAICS code under which you won the award. Because, for example, if I have this phone here, well, this phone has its own PSC code, but guess what? One agency may buy under one NAICS codes, and another agency may buy the same item, same PSC code, but under a different NAICS codes. So the more you update your NAICS codes and the more you type complete sentences in your profile with keywords as well, when they're searching for an item, when they're searching for, let's say, a PSC code or a NAICS code, your name will come up. So make sure you do those things. And again, the more you win, then the more you update your profile. The more you update your profile, the more you win, because now you're more on their radar. Because again, you're making yourself seem more credible. You have a website. I hope everyone has a professional email address, not a Gmail or a Yahoo address, because these are all the things contracting officers look at when they pull up your DSBS. Okay, they have great keywords. They have PSC codes, they have NAICS codes, they're updating it. And yes, it's recent. Okay, now I feel good about this person being able to complete the sales cycle from beginning to end, from being awarded the contract all the way up to delivering the contract. But again, that's another great tidbit that most people are not doing. Be sure to describe your business or anything that you have access to, even if you didn't sell the part to something, but you have access if you needed it to a manufacturer. I would go ahead and put that in there, because if you do win the award, you do have the ability to go ahead and provide that item. So DSBS is huge in increasing your visibility, and that's a quiet business development marketing thing that's happening behind the scenes that you don't have to think about, that you're updating monthly or every 90 days.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I tell people, I'm like, listen, primarily for DLA and DIBS, right? They search via NSN number and PSC code, and then people are like, oh, should I update my SAM profile? And I tell people, like, you can, but it doesn't make that big of a difference. But the DSBS profile and the SAM's profile are completely different from each other, and it's basically like a resume, or like almost like a dating app profile, right? And you feel better when you look at
the government, your capability statement, your digital capability statement that they have access to.
There you go, like your digital version of one. And like anytime you're looking at a restaurant to go eat or something like that, you search by most recent reviews first, right? And if you see that there's nothing been done over the course of the past 5 years or 7 years, you're like, maybe I can't trust the stuff that's here. But if you see that somebody's leaving a bunch of different reviews, and then one thing is a chicken curry, and then another thing is a Caesar salad, right? You're going to be like, okay, there's a lot of variety here, and it's very recent. So does anybody have any questions before we let the boss man go? And again, this one's going to be recorded, and then it's going to be uploaded up into the Google Drive folder. And then Danny will make a post in the community letting everybody know when it's been uploaded. The Wi-Fi out here is actually pretty good, so this should finish processing later this morning for me, early tomorrow morning, you guys' time. So does anybody have any questions about anything before I let you guys go? And you can either type it in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself and speak. And I see we got Gordon, we got Rudy, Don, Sharon, Coward.
Yeah, I'm encouraging you guys. This is for you. This is your time. Listen, this is all in full access right here, right now. Matter of fact, for those of you who don't know, that's part of how Dave's business got started, because when we started to have a little bit of momentum, people would call and say, hey, how do I do this? How do I get more information? I was too busy running a business to answer calls and phone calls. However, Dave was having his own personal success in the business. And at the time, he was on his way to earning his first million in sales. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, when you're not busy bidding, when you're not in school, in the meantime, here, you could go ahead and consult for some people, and he would give them the roadmap. So, man, this is your opportunity to ask me, because yes, a lot of the things, obviously, he's done a lot of work himself. He's studied a lot, and he has taken to this like fish to water. But man, this is where he got the knowledge from, a lot of it from. So you get to ask directly. Go right ahead. This is your time.
Any questions, comments, concerns? I see Kyron said thank you. Awesome. Um, yeah, so if nobody has anything, then yeah, what we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna have Danny sending out the recording of the video. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know that today's schedule was a bit different. We normally do it at 7 p.m. and then this one was at 8 p.m. But yeah, if nobody has anything, thank you for. Oh, Calvin's asking, can she see the book again?
Yeah, sure. This particular one is called Traction. So pretty much it's how to start setting up your business, even as a solopreneur. But within the book, there are other resources that are shared, and they talk about, depending on where you are on your journey, different books for different levels at your journey. But again, this book, I'm going to say 75% of the entrepreneurs and the people that I interact with or work with, Gino Wickman, have used that resources or some of his other books. But again, there are others, and I'd be more than glad to share a list with Day of recommended books on how to start a team, or leadership books, or how to manage teams, or how to look for individuals.
Another question from Jordan. He said, "What was the biggest setback in the journey?" I think I know what it is, but you can go ahead and list what you think was one of the biggest setbacks.
Well, I had a whole bunch, to be honest. I had a whole bunch, and that's one thing you have to remember when people show you, you see the success and this, that, the other. Remember that they stubbed their toes along the way. Um, Biggest, I don't know, man. Obviously, COVID and having a team and paying the team when no income was coming in was challenging. I could tell you that there was one time that I pursued the business and I was not ready for the business. So I pursued the business. I said, fine, they gave me a shot. I was not ready for it. I didn't have all the money. I didn't have the infrastructure. Matter of fact, I only had one part-time team member, and I was working the business part-time. So they gave me a massive order, and I couldn't process the order. I didn't know where the money was going to come from. And man, I botched it. It took me about 2 years to get back on the good side of the person to get me the opportunity. So I bit off more than I could chew, and which is fine. You could bite off more than you could chew, but you have to have a plan. Hey, if this comes through, how can I go ahead and make this happen? Even if you have to outsource some of it, even if you have to give some of your profits, but man, be ready, because what you have that's priceless is your reputation as a person, as an organization. So man, defend the reputation of your company and you as a person, with everything you have. And this is one of my many failures along this journey that I'll never forget.
And then iPhone, which I can't see your username, but it could be any one of our students, but this is a good question. So has any of your success with the government led to corporate contracts? So by corporate, he just means like anything outside of like DLA specifically.
So first of all, outside of DLA, yes, because again, all contracting officers for the DoD look at your DSBS. All contracting officers look at your profile. So, for example, won this one contract with DLA, but then we have one of the big primes, which was Lockheed Martin. Said, "Hey, wait a minute, you won this for DLA. Can you come do this for us?" And then shortly after, while we're in negotiations with Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics came in and said, "Hey, can you do this for us as well?" So winning one contract with that one DLA brought in two big primes, Lockheed Martin, and we're in the process of discussing an exclusive with Lockheed Martin. Another example, the Peruvian Department of Defense invited us to an event. We're in Peru last week to deal with the Peruvian government to support their aviation. But while down there, commercial airlines of Peru and Panama needed help with some of the things that we provide. So yes, there's been multiple opportunities while pursuing government opportunities led to commercial or additional business. So again, be sure to, it's not bragging, but when you win, let people know. Be sure to tag in your LinkedIn or look. Again, this should be a whole nother call, but the more people know about what you do, you never know who else is looking for what it is that you do. So yes, other opportunities did come through the work that we're doing on a existing basis.
Awesome. Awesome. Does anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns? Speak now or forever hold your peace, because this guy's harder to get a hold of than the Pentagon. So the fact that he's on here right now, he doesn't do interviews like this. So if anybody has any questions, um, fire away right now. And I see that that was Steven that asked that. Thank you so much for tuning in, Steven. And thank you for that question as well, Jordan. If anybody has any questions about business development or like conferences that they should be going to, or red flags that they want to avoid, or things that they should be looking for, drop a line in the chat now.
All right. In the meantime, as you're thinking about it, we're talking about business development and defense. So here's the thing, we talk a lot about bidding and being the ones to win. One of the things that we do is we also subcontract for some people. So anytime a big organization wins a big contract, you could go ahead and knock on their door and say, hey, you know what? If let's say there's something that you could provide for that contract, a lot of these big contracts, 5, 10, 20, $50 million, when they win the contract, there's also a requirement that they have to give 5% of that contract to small businesses as well. So sometimes they are looking for small businesses to go ahead and assist them with their big contracts. So for example, I'm going to give you a piece of information here. If I could just find let me see here. What's the Department of Defense? Department of Defense has a website, and it lists every day, every single contract that it gave that was over $5 million. So you could see a big company won a contract, and you could tell, well, you know what? They're going to need some screws and some nuts and some bolts to help assist that one. You could reach out to them and say, hey, I'm a small business. I'm looking out of here. This is how I can assist you solving your problem. And that's another thing. When you approach people, always approach them from a position of, I'm here to assist you, as opposed to asking, hey, can you hook me up? No, this is what I can do for you. I see you have this opportunity. This is what I could do. This is the value that I can bring. How can we work together? Or how can I position myself to be of value to you? So that's, again, something that you can do. Let me try to pull up this email here before we leave the website, rather, to make sure that you guys subscribe to that. It's a free resource once again. And that way you could see every day which companies win millions of dollars of contracts. And you could literally reach out to some of those medium companies, maybe not the big Lockheed Martins, but medium-sized companies that you've never heard of that may be an assistance. So it's defense.gov. If you just go on defense.gov, and they have a tab that says news, and under that one, it says releases. Let me see here. Again, this is a great website, by the way, just to be to get a sense of the landscape. But yes, under news at the bottom, there's a tab that says contracts, and every single day it lists all the contracts. So don't always think about being the prime. You could mix it up and be a sub, also a subcontractor to a big prime. It'll list the agency, it'll list the company, it'll list the dollar amount. And again, these are contracts $5 million and up. Hey, if you get $100,000, project out of a $10 million contract, it's not a bad place to start as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I want to remind you guys that these of you guys who were looking for some technical stuff, right? Some technical guidance on what exactly to sell. One day ago, I just dropped a video, and it's my 10 favorite products to sell in 2025. There's a bunch of stuff in there that I referenced that nobody wants to sell. I have done some research on some of the stuff, looked at the solicitations, looked on FPDS about the ticket size. So go check that video out on YouTube. And then there's another video, do these 5 things to win a contract before 2025. And then the link for that website to find all that news is also posted in the chat right there. Oh, this is a really good question, actually. Thank you for asking this, Stephen. He says, do you plan on exiting? Are there possibilities of exiting with product companies? Because I plan to. I know in services there's a pretty good EBITDA exit
EBITDA,
by, I don't
earnings
know,
before
EBITDA.
interest, taxes, depreciation. Yes, EBITDA.
All right,
So
so
great.
do you plan on exiting?
I don't know. I don't know. I enjoy this. You know, I live a life by design, not a life by default. So I'm in a position right now. I'm very blessed, very fortunate to do things that I enjoy doing. I enjoy what I'm doing at the moment, and I don't know. You know, but that being said, I love the question because whether you plan to exit or not, whether you plan to sell your business or not, from day one you should set up your business as if you're going to sell it. That way, you're going to professionalize your business. You'll have, you know, your corporate vision, your values, your systems are going to be in place. Make sure your business is system dependent, not person dependent, so that if you do choose to exit at some point, then boom, you can just hand it over. And but yes, plenty of companies I get approached. And right now, by the way, if you're thinking about acquiring a business, you get business for pennies on the dollars. As the next 5 to 10 years are going to be the best years to acquire a business because so many people have built businesses that their children, their relatives, and their employees cannot buy. So if you're looking a fast way to scale or to add a component to your company right now for the next 5 years with the baby boomers retiring is a great time or a great option to consider. But yes, so again, Two Lines Aerospace is going to be here for the foreseeable future. And I don't know, we'll see what happens in ask me in 5 years. Ask me in five
Ask us
years.
and yeah, check back in half a decade to see where things are. But yeah, great questions, guys. And then remember that website is posted down there in the chat, and then this recording will be posted. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We've got like a nice 15 participants, which is a nice number. I remember when we first started, it only used to be like 2 or 3 people. So yeah, I'm happy with the amount of participants, and this meeting will be shared with everybody. Yeah, thank you for taking the time to come on and bail me out, especially it being 8 p.m. on a Wednesday. Thank you for coming to share your knowledge and your experience with us. And yeah, I'm sure that this would be one of like the most rewatched calls in terms of like our company archives. But with that being said, thank you guys all so much for attending. And yeah. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, just drop a line to me or to Danny. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what you guys accomplish.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me here. And man, I not only I hope that you all got some value out of this, but take action. If it's one thing that resonated with you, internalize it and execute on it. And I look forward to seeing all the success that you're all going to have in 2025.
There you have it, guys. I mean, wow. What an incredible call, what an incredible opportunity that those students got to have to speak live with Mr. Mike Cantave on the call. I mean, so much sauce, so many gems. I hope you got as much out of it as we did filming it, as the students did on the call. I hope you guys really did find it useful. If you guys want like hands-on help, one-to-one help with the same team that grew Two Lines Aerospace from 0 to 50 million, the same processes, it's all there, guys. Like, we don't need to reinvent the wheel here. It's all there. If you want to work with the best in the game and actually take your business to the next level and be on the right track to go to 50 million and anywhere in between 0 and 50, you know what you need to do. Book a call with down the link below, first link in the description. We are currently running a Black Friday promotion that will end on Black Friday, so there is literally no better time to commit. We could not make this any more affordable, any more easier for you guys. Book a call, speak with the team. If it's a right fit, we'll help you guys out. I hope to see you on there. If not, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.